The Dingers podcast is on the air. I'm your host, Mitch. I'm here with my boys, Jake, Jeff, and Kevin. Before we get started, we want to remind you that we are live on YouTube every Monday at 8:30 on the On Tap Sports Network YouTube channel. So go check us out there. Make sure you hit that subscribe button so you will never miss a Dingers episode. And we also have all their YouTube shorts on there. You can catch little clips on that channel. So make sure you're subscribed to never miss any of that. Also, we're available wherever you get your podcasts. But we want to interact with you too. So make sure you're following us at Dinger Cubs on Twitter. And that's where we're engaging with Cubs fans and listeners the most. We also have a Facebook group too. So make sure you're just joining in the conversation. We want to talk to you and talk with you about the Chicago Cubs. But man, before the fifth inning, I don't know if I really wanted to talk much Cubs tonight because that was a rough weekend outing. And then thank God for Christopher Morel, because he was the only reason why I watched this weekend some Cubs, and he saved us again tonight by tying the game up, hitting a dinger off a real good pitcher and Valdez, who I have on my fantasy team, so that's going to hurt me a little bit. But let's talk some Cubs. Hopefully we can get in a better mood as this game goes on and the Cubs can pull out a win, because we are recording on Monday night. Game's still going on versus the Astros. Let's start off by talking a little bit about some starting pitching. This weekend was the first series, I would say, the whole season where the Cubs starting pitching really struggled. Wisniewski had another rough start after kind of figuring it out there for a little stretch. Really struggled, and since has now gotten sent down to AAA to hopefully figure some things out a little bit more. But we saw Stroman struggle for the second straight outing. What are your thoughts on that, Jake?
Yeah, I think it's tough with Stroman. You saw it kind of all over the place that it was only a matter of time before Stroman and Steele Steele's still kind of holding his own. I mean, he had one outing where he gave up 3 runs. You know, he'd been on a tear with giving up only 2 runs or fewer for, like since last August or July. But Stroman, I was kind of surprised to see the blow up that he had. For the first time all season after yesterday's game, I actually looked at Marcus Stroman's Baseball Savant page, and it's not like really icy blue. Blue is bad, red is good. But there's a lot of blue and not a lot of red. The only red markers for him are barrel percentage, so barrels allowed, and fastball spin. Everything else not looking very good. His expected ERA is 4.51. So when he was rocking that ERA in the ones, it was only a matter of time before that started to get back up. And when you look into the numbers a little bit, the big thing for him before his outing against the Cardinals, which was two outings ago, his left on base percentage was 86.1%, and his BABIP was 248. So both of those are like the left on base percentage, it's very high. A good average left on base percentage is probably in the mid 70s. So 86.1 was not sustainable. And a 248 BABIP, that was going to go up. You probably the Cubs BABIP right now as a team is about 300 or so. So he was, a lot of it was thanks to the good, the good defense behind him, which is what we expected to see. Ron Lewis, our buddy at On Tap, hashtag Stats with Booge. It's been a minute since Stats with Booge, but yeah, I'm digging in right off the bat. So
I love it.
So lock in with me. But the big thing
Jeffrey,
is,
lock in.
Yeah,
I know
Jeff's
it's numbers. It's okay.
I can see it in his eyes.
Squirrel in my windowsill. I swear to God.
It just was kind of a matter of time before things started to even out a little bit. I don't expect another outing like we saw in Minnesota, but
I hope not.
It's going to happen. It's going to happen to the best pitchers in the game, right? Even the elite pitchers have duds every once in a while. I think that Stroman's ERA will probably level out to like it'll probably maintain a low to mid threes ERA if we're lucky. A high threes ERA would still also be a pretty good outcome, especially if the offense can kind of pick things up a little bit. The last thing I'll say too is I think the Twins offense is a little bit underrated. I think they definitely outperformed all expectations this weekend, but they've got some bats that they've been waiting to produce. Alex Kirilloff is back after a long wrist injury history, but he was a top prospect, I believe former first round pick. He stuck it to us, 2 home runs in the game on Saturday. They're leading the AL Central, which yes is not a great division, but they've got really good starting pitching. Their defense is solid. They've got Carlos Correa. Joey Gallo obviously had a good weekend against us, which, he's a very streaky player.
Wasn't he just absolutely terrible with the Yankees last year?
Oh, yeah, he was abysmal.
So he's probably got more hits this year than he did last year.
Hey, we want to do stats with Jeff? Look it up. That's a good question. But I just think it's
assistant.
I mean, yeah, I've got all these windows open and it's like all these tabs. It's difficult to balance everything. But yeah, it's tough to see. But I do expect things to start trending toward his average. The too long didn't read version is he was pitching over his head to start the season. Don't expect more 6+ run outings out of him going forward. Expect, quality starts, mostly 3 runs, 6 innings. I think we're going to continue to get depth from him in ball games. I think the strikeout rate is going to continue to kind of, regress toward his average. But I still he's not going to be the ace that he's been. And I talked about that on the last episode, right? That we've been really lucky to see the aces in Steele and Stroman. Now, hopefully Steele can just hold it up because, Stroman doesn't look like we're going to get that from him the rest of the season. What do you guys take away? I mean, obviously we've got Wesneski to talk about too, but any thoughts on Stroman, or did I beat a dead horse there toward the end?
No, I just feel like in the earlier games this season, probably his first 3-4 starts, he got a little bit lucky. I mean, when he pitched into trouble, he was able to execute a pitch that would induce a ground ball that would get a double play, or get that force out in the inning. I just don't think he executed very well, and he didn't get the ground balls like he normally does. They were going in the air. Sinking. No,
his sinker wasn't sinking.
Everything was going in the air. So I don't know. I feel like he got, when he needed a pitch, he could find that pitch in the earlier games and get out of trouble. But he hasn't had a lot of clean innings, which I don't know. You sit there and you watch a game, it's like, God, how many guys is going to put on base before we get that last out? When's this going to bite us in the ass, kind of thing? Kevin, what are your thoughts?
Just the same. I mean, he was always going to be a pitcher dependent on his defense behind him. He's not a strikeouts guy. He's a ground balls. It works well when you've got, Nico and Swanson behind you covering up the middle. And the defense was always going to be the defense of our hitters was always going to be the big focus when Stroman starts. The unfortunate part is I think have been like kind of the walks or just the little bloopy hits that add up to a lot of guys on base and just getting a lot of, runners running around out there, a lot of trash on the base paths. I think it's interesting that he went such a long stretch without giving up a clunker. I mean, like you guys talked about, a starting pitcher gives up a clunker every so often, regardless of how good they are. They're, somebody's going to just get blown up on a day. But it's unfortunate that it happened back to back. And I think that's where we look at it and go, man, that was one heck of a weekend for us not scoring runs. And it's not even necessarily that we didn't score a run. We still scored, 3 yesterday, which isn't necessarily a ton, but it's like, but when the other team scores 16 and you throw a Master Beatty out on the mound to sling the dong, it's not going well.
To do what, Kevin?
Jesus.
When I saw that he pitched, I was like,
"Oh, dong ball now."
Yep. Well, I mean, he gave up 4.
He gave up 4 home runs.
4 runs. I don't know.
4 runs.
I think it was 1 home run.
Yeah, 1 home run. Yeah,
3 people on base.
With Stroman, and it started like very first game of the year versus the Brewers. Like there were 2 innings when they got the bases loaded, and one they got a key double play hit to Hoerner that was a smooth turn double play to get out of a big inning, and then later, I think even a second start, he had 2 innings where they got the bases loaded, but he could make the pitch when needed. The thing that going forward, I am confident with Stroman is it always seems like, I mean, I say always, he's pitched 1 season for the Cubs, but it seemed like last year he had some injuries toward the beginning of the season, but he seems like he pitches better once the temperature starts getting a little bit warmer. I don't know if that's getting a better feel for that sinker. Colder months, it's tough for pitchers to be able to get a good feel. So I'm confident that he's shown in his career that he's a gamer and that he will figure it out. He hasn't had where he's had a long stretch where he just has been bad. And so that's where you can trust that he's his career. Like you can trust a guy's career that he can figure it out and that he will be able to bounce back and still provide good innings and good starts for us. And like even those clunkers, like even those where the beginning of the season where he pitched out of jams, that's what good pitchers do. Like good pitchers pitch in and out of jams. It's the bad pitchers like Wisniewski that we've seen that isn't seasoned enough to be able to know how to pitch out of those jams. And he's not quite to the level of a Stroman to be effective in getting in and out of jams effectively and limiting the damage. That's why I've seen Stroman at the beginning of the season, he would limit the damage. Yeah, he would get that ground ball and maybe give up 1 run, but he's not going to give up the big inning. And this weekend, he gave up the big inning, and that's going to happen. So it sucks because it seemed like Cubs Nation or Cubs Twitter was kind of the sky was definitely falling in Minnesota with Mervis not hitting, or I think our expectations with Mervis were too high and him underperforming, and then getting absolutely it handed to us 2 straight games. Like I think Saturday we could have taken, but then it happened again on Sunday with somebody who you thought was on the mound, Stroman. You were confident like, okay, this is gonna be a good game. And right away it wasn't. So I'm confident that Stroman will move forward and be good.
And I want to touch on that really quick. I mean, the weekend was especially disheartening considering, so I'm going to give a shout out to my friend Adrian here. He's become a big Cubs fan, going to a lot of games, really educating himself on baseball. I don't really know if he listens to the podcast, but shout out Adrian if he is. He texted me last night. He said, dude, I think the Cubs are 7-14 since Smiley's perfect game bid. And I double checked that and he was right. And there are some interesting things. Like I go back to BABIP. The Cubs BABIP has fallen. So looking at the offensive numbers specifically from like 348 to 303, the strikeout rate is up. The walk rate, coincidentally, is also up. The interesting thing there, like when we talked about, like I talked about in the first month of the season before Bellinger took off, I said Bellinger needed to be more aggressive at the plate because pitchers were attacking him. And I think it's interesting because I know on the compound, Dakota has said to Hap, I know you're locked in when you're taking your walks. And like, I don't have the overall numbers, but it almost is like maybe be a little bit more aggressive because when you were walking at a smaller clip, like 8.5% as a team, as opposed to 10%, in the last 21 games, you were scoring more runs, putting more balls in play. Maybe they're being a little bit too passive. It does. We kind of talked about it last week, I think, where it just kind of feels like things are a little flat right now. And unfortunately, the off day didn't really help as Mitch is finally seeing the great play that was.
Are you kidding me?
That
was 5 minutes ago.
Yeah, that was a little bit ago. Yeah. If you watched the game last night, Mancini made a great play. They had the guy in a rundown between first and second and third and home, and he got the ball home to keep the run from scoring. That was a great heads up play by him. But that's exactly, that's the defense that we need to see behind these guys,
right?
But behind these starting pitchers. So, yeah, I don't know. Like I said, I didn't dig into the numbers enough, but just really quickly, just an overall kind of quick number here. So in the first 19 games of the season, the Cubs scored 114 runs. In the next 21 games of the season, they scored 79 runs. So that's a pretty significant difference, especially considering there are 2 more games in the second sample. WRC plus is down. Obviously, WAR is down with that. So I don't know. It feels a little bit too early for things to be flattening out offensively. But like we've already said, thank God for Morel. And to touch on Mervis, like before the season, I think we cautioned, hey, let's not put the weight of the world on this guy's shoulders. He's shown glimpses at the plate of, some really great at-bats. He's striking out at like a 40% rate right now, but that's going to come down.
Yep.
I mean, we saw at every level last season that strikeout rate came down, which is the opposite of what usually happens. I think the guy's settling into the major leagues, man. We've seen a lot of top prospects struggle with the call-up. Guys who are consensus top prospects, not guys that just came out of nowhere the previous season like Mervis did. So I think he's going to be fine. I don't expect him to be the next Anthony Rizzo. I don't think it's fair to have those expectations for anybody. But
even Anthony Rizzo struck out a lot when he was young.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I mean, but he hit a lot more home runs.
And he was on a team that had no expectations for the first year or two of his call up. It
was like 2012 when he made his debut or something, or 2013. They weren't really competitive until like I think it was
2012.
Yeah. It was a couple seasons.
Just relax, everyone. Calm down.
Speaking of a prospect or somebody that recently got called up that hasn't been struggling, Christopher Morel had 2 tanks this weekend. I believe his 2 home runs traveled further distance than all of Nick Madrigal's hits this year combined. Don't quote me on this, but it might be fact. They were far. I almost wanted to claim the one for our dinger picks as counting as 2 dingers.
We weren't going to let that happen.
Nope.
I wasn't even going to dignify that with a response.
Nope, I didn't either.
But then again tonight, hits another dinger. I'm just going to keep picking Morel until he doesn't, because he is hot in the streets. Like he just, and you saw like he's made some adjustments from last year. You see his hands starting a little bit lower in his stance. He still like brings them up to where he would naturally start last year, but he's starting with them lower. I think that's more of a timing. I think they did that probably for timing to get him a little bit on time because he was striking out a ton. And I think that was a result of a lot of just timing being off. But the dude has some freakishly quick hands and light tower power.
Right.
And
booming the ball.
It's amazing to see what he's doing right now. He can play all over the field, and right now he's providing all of the offense for us.
Quite
right
literally,
now.
Yeah. I mean, him and Gomes, right?
Yep.
Oh my goodness.
So, what are your thoughts on Christopher Morel there, Kevin?
I love having him back up here. I mean, his energy going around the bases when he hits these tanks has just been so much fun to watch. You got to imagine the dugouts just blowing up every time he hits one. I saw when him and Seiya went back to back, he went into the dugout and gave Seiya a big hug, kind of one of those like, yeah, you got one, because Seiya has been hitting well. He just hasn't been hitting dongs. He hasn't been getting it out of the ballpark, but Morel just provides I feel like it's a shot in the arm for the morale, even with these losses that have kind of piled up. And the fact that he's still hitting, even though everybody else around him is struggling a little bit, or just the timeliness of it is struggling a little bit, is fantastic, because those pitchers are still going to come at him, and and he's hitting all over the lineup. I mean, is he leading off again today? Yeah. Yep. He's kind of been up and down in the lineup a little bit, which when Nico's back, he's not going to be leading off. He'll be perhaps protected one way or the other, which just puts another potent bat, power bat in the lineup in a good hitting spot.
Yeah.
Can't wait to see it. Jeff, what do you think of the Morel kid out there?
Oh, I love the kid. I'd like to adopt him. But no, we need somebody with some energy and enthusiasm. I think this team struggled since Nico went down with the hamstring. We lost our I go, we go kind of guy. I think you'll notice that, like, when Nico was struggling at the plate or had a bad night at the plate, we usually lost one of those one-run games. It is nice that Morel has stepped up into that leadoff spot and has done pretty well there. I know for a long time we didn't have any consistency at that spot in the batting order. But no, I mean, he's a young kid with, a zest for the game. He loves to play, and he'll play anywhere. He'll do whatever is asked of him so he can be on the field. I think it's great.
He currently has, in his last 3 home runs, have traveled 1,655 feet.
They're like a quarter mile. They're like a quarter of a mile.
That's a 461-foot shot, a 429, and a 401.
Yeah, he's not getting cheated. He's barreled going into today. He's barreled 4 of his 15 balls in play.
Jeez.
Hard hit rate over 50%. And this is stuff that's going to come down a little bit, but knowing how hard he does hit the ball, I could see that barrel rate, like a 20+% barrel rate is elite.
Do we extend Christopher Morel?
No.
Too early?
We're going to start this talk already.
Yeah, you still got plenty of time.
Hey, we got 2 extensions, bud. I mean, that's 2 more than a lot for a long time. Let's tamp it down.
We still got plenty of service time for Morel. And
Can we take 15 to 20% off that?
I think like we talked about, like you guys said, I mean, him being there, his post-game interviews are great. He just loves baseball. I mean, and his history with his hand. I mean, the fact that he's even able to, like, I forgot about that until he mentioned it post-game on, I think it was the Apple TV broadcast, which is a great broadcast, by the way. I think the Apple TV broadcast is fantastically done.
I missed the beginning of that, but who were the announcers? Because I kind of liked listening to them.
I forgot too, but I know Russell Dorsey, who's from Chicago. He was a Cubs beat writer. He's the field reporter, and he's fantastic. I'm so happy he's very deserving of that position. I don't know.
I feel like the one guy does a lot of hockey games.
Let me look it up really quick.
See, look, I got my assistant already.
Nice. Yeah, there you go. You just got to throw it on to Jake. The only thing about the Apple TV games is I don't have Apple TV right now. And
here's
I sat down to watch it, and I was like, oh, come on.
I tried to tell you, if you upgrade your watch, you'll get Apple TV for free.
Yeah, but I haven't even had this watch for a year.
So who cares? Just get a different one.
It's cheaper just to pay for Apple TV than to get a new watch.
Yeah, but when the watch is paid for, you still get the TV.
Wait, Alex, you get a free TV?
Jeff is the hockey guy.
What's the hockey guy's name? Because I kind of like him.
Alex Faust. It's Alex Faust and Wayne Randazzo, and Wayne Randazzo is great.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think they've got a great broadcast. I think the cameras just feel like super crisp.
It's a really nice picture.
Oh, it's wicked clarity.
I love
clarity.
Score bug. I think the score bug is great.
Yep.
Yeah, I thought so. Wayne Randazzo is a Chicago native. They were talking about, people were calling for Randazzo to replace Len. I feel like, before we hired Boog.
Okay, since we're talking about I mean, we're off a little bit our script or what we want, but like
we had a script.
We haven't talked about this the whole year, and I feel like this is a good spot. Do you like the 3-man booth with Girardi, JD, and Boog? Jeff, go.
Isn't no response a response? Sometimes it's okay, and other times it's like, will somebody stuff a sock in that guy's mouth?
Right. Exactly.
Or maybe sending him to go get some chili dogs, do something with him.
My thing is with 3 of them up there, and Boog usually does a pretty good job of narrating the game a little bit. You know, you're watching it or whatever, but there are times where I look around or I'm walking through, I'm getting the boys their 18th snack of the night or something like that, and I like to be able to hear somebody telling me about the game and not necessarily talking about a game 30 years ago or whatever story is kind of being told. I just feel like there's with 3, it's a little too many. You get too many of the stories. There's too many, like Boog can't just pop in and say what's happening on the field. You know, JD can't pop in and talk about the way somebody's looking at the plate real quick. Like too many stories, too much, too many.
I think the thing for me that I always go back to with the 3-man booth, I don't care. Put 4 guys in the booth, whatever. The problem is the inconsistency. I want to see them commit to a booth. And I know it's difficult because Boog does national radio for ESPN. I struggle because it's like, yeah, let him keep doing that. If he wants to do it and they can make it work, then keep doing it. But at the same time, it's like pony up the money to make it so that he's just the Cubs broadcaster. Like do what it takes, because it's better for the fans to tune in knowing, because it affects radio then too, because Pat's on the TV broadcast again today, which means Zach Zaidman is doing play-by-play on radio.
I know a guy who hates Zaidman.
So there are a lot of people who are not big Zaidman fans. I'm indifferent. It's just tough because you've got Hall of Famer Pat Hughes,
right? Yeah, you can't walk into those shoes.
Yeah. So it's just the last thing I'll say, Mitch, is the Mets do it really well. They've got 3 guys that are like super famous. One of them is Keith Hernandez. And then I forget the other 2 guys in the booth, but like consistently I hear people like from different fandoms, not just Mets fans, saying like that's the best booth in baseball. So it's like, if you do the 3-man booth correctly and you've got them in there building the rapport with each other day in and day out, it's probably going to end up that it's going to work. It just like the inconsistency drives me crazy. I just want to see the same guys in there every game.
And for me, like, I really like Jim DeShays. Like I like.
Me too.
I think he's witty. I think he is.
He's got a dry wit. That's like fantastic.
Yeah. Okay, what did you guys think of like Bob Brenly when he was there?
I remember liking Brenly, but I was younger.
I didn't mind him, and I thought when he left, I'm like, great. Who are they going to get to fill in for him? I really do enjoy JD.
Yeah. And like he's a very knowledgeable dude. Like when he does speak of the past, like he works it into the present, but it feels like all these people that they're bringing in, like when they brought in, like I'm all right with Glanville coming in once everyone.
I love Doug Glanville. I think he's great.
He's not a play-by-play, and he's not like a color. He doesn't.
I mean, he does the Sunday Night Baseball broadcast with Boog.
Yeah,
so they've got that, rapport.
He doesn't. It doesn't. For me, it does. For him, it doesn't come off. Is he very knowledgeable? Is he great? Like asking a question and aside, yes. Like I love him. But it just feels like whenever they bring like Sutcliffe and Grace back in the day, and like now Girardi, it just feels like they're trying to push JD out, and it's like, just let JD and Boog run the show and let it go. And then they have to bring in what's her name, Beth Mowins.
Oh my God! I'll tell you what. If there's anybody that sounds like they're have an infinite amount of peanut butter in their mouth, it's that lady.
Well,
like she is so hard to listen to.
Yeah, it's like I'm all for female broadcaster. I love what's the
Elise Menaker?
Elise. She does awesome with the Iowa Cubs. She is amazing, very knowledgeable, like very eloquent, like funny, like she's great.
Energetic.
I like Jessica Mendoza. I really like Jessica Mendoza.
I really miss hearing out on the Mendoza line.
So
we don't get enough of that.
For what it's worth, I don't dislike Beth. I think I do want to highlight Scott's comment here, because I'm glad I'm not alone. I need more Rick Sutcliffe. And I think the piece on Bleacher Nation that our friend Michael Cerami wrote this past week, he highlighted Rick Sutcliffe, and I thought that I was alone. I thought people on Twitter, it seems like a lot of people are annoyed by Sutcliffe. I like Sutcliffe, and Cerami did a good job explaining why. He brings the authentic fan reaction.
He is such a fan for the team.
Yeah, that I think we miss, like Ron Santo in the booth, man. Like we need more. So Michael basically was writing like we need a little bit more homerisms. In the booth, we need a little bit more excitement for the home team, and I think that's the problem with Boog still doing the national broadcasts. Is whether it's conscious or not, because he bleeds into both, he has to stay neutral, impartial for Sunday baseball. So like, does that mean that he's just still conditioned during the week with the Cubs? Because like, again, it might be an unconscious thing, but we notice it, right?
Yeah. I mean, I like Sutcliffe. I just don't know. Like Sutcliffe is a great, like they were like, give him like 1 or 2 innings, like not like the whole, like pull him in for like
I really
a little
get bit napperish when he's on, a couple of innings. It's like listening to your uncle that's telling you old stories.
I didn't know where you were going with that one.
Well, let's bring it back to current.
Let us know your thoughts.
Yeah,
maybe we'll clip a little bit of this and tweet it out tomorrow. I think this is a good thing because there's Cubs fans have a lot to say about this. I want to hear what people think.
They do. Let's talk a little bit of Nico Hoerner. This offense has really struggled since Nico's been out. You can definitely tell that the Cubs miss him at the top of the order, setting the stage for the rest of the guys. You miss his ability to put the bat on the ball and find a gap and just set the table. Like they miss him defensively. They miss him offensively. I am glad now more than ever that we've signed him to an extension. But my question is, we get him. We've heard that he's supposed to be back for the Philly series Friday, possibly. Kevin said before the show they had him running bases before the game tonight. So who's the odd man out when he comes up? 1-4, who's going to be sent back down? I'm guessing it's going to be Mastroboni. But who's going to be the one that's going to be getting their ABs limited?
Oh, let's pray to God it's Dale Hosmer.
Sorry, who?
Yeah, Enrique Hosmer, Aaron Hosmer, Eric Hosmer. All right, Aaron. So in 89 plate appearances this season, he's got 22 hits. He scored 7 runs, 14 RBIs. He's walked 5 times. He struck out 24 times. And a month ago, he had 13 RBIs. So, and that was after 11 games. So we're way past 11 games, and he's only recorded 1 more RBI. For a veteran leader, you would like to see more production out of somebody that's been around the league a while, that knows the ins and outs of this game.
It's a lot of strikeouts.
Yeah.
A ton.
He's hitting 247, so he's like 7 points higher than our former right fielder. But it's still not great. Kevin, what do you think? Who's leaving? Pay attention, Kevin. Come back.
Sorry, that was a rough little sequence on the field. Well, I really hope Dale is gone, I'd love him be the guy who gets released instead of sending Mastrobuoni down.
Just
at
want
least
the phallus
Mastrobuoni
references.
can pinch hit. Like, I mean, he can take his stick out every so often and swing it in the yard.
Good Lord, man.
Start by swinging it indoors first and see how you feel.
Right.
My God.
I would love nothing more than a roster shakeup that includes a Hosmer DFA to open up a 40-man spot for my boy, Jake Slaughter, who's been hitting the crap out of the ball this season and last season at AAA. 26 years old, turns 27 in October. He's currently batting 276, 350 OBP. He's got a 931 OPS, 8 home runs in 105 at bats, 35 RBI, and he's stealing a little bit. So this is a guy that plays the corners. So if you're worried about, losing a DH or a first baseman in Dale, well, I got an answer for you. Bring Hosmer out to Slaughter, and bring Jake up to Chicago.
I mean, in obvious shirts like love this. Like they'd be selling shirts that weekend of like Jake Slaughter's baseball.
Slaughterhouse rules.
Like yeah, there's so many like obvious shirts that go nuts. So yeah, and he's been playing some good ball down in Iowa. Who's gonna be the one that's gonna be getting their ABs kind of taken from it? We've already seen Hosmer's hasn't really been getting a ton of playing time since Mervis has been up. Got one spot start, couple pinch hit appearances. He's basically turned into Torrens right now, if you remember that guy.
Right.
Exactly.
Luis Torrens.
Yeah, that's him. Hey, you knew his name. Good for you.
I thought it was Luis.
But like my thing is, would that be an opportunity for the Cubs to send Madrigal down, let him figure out, because he is struggling. He is, I think I read somewhere on Twitter, he has not barreled a ball yet this year.
Ooh.
He hasn't barreled a ball since 2021, and even then he only had 2 barrels. He has 2 career barrels.
So that
I got more guns in my gun safe with barrels.
So that's like maybe that'd be a good time to send him down, let him figure some stuff out down in Iowa, see if they can work Morel magic, what they did with Morel, and be able to generate some more power and get some timing in. And it would be a good opportunity to leave Mastrobuoni up so that Kevin has his jokes. And
thank you.
Just for Kevin. That's why he stays up.
And I guarantee you, he can hit a ball with more exit velo than Madrigal right now. Like Mastrobuoni can get into some balls.
Yeah, definitely.
He swings.
So that's my thing. Is I think it'd be good. Like the Cubs haven't done it yet, and it'd be a good opportunity for that to happen because you have Morel up there providing some offense. He can play your third base that Madrigal is getting his starts and when they need him off the bench. So that's what I would suggest.
It should be Morel and Wisdom should be splitting starts at third base. And whenever Morel is starting at third, Wisdom should be the DH. For what it's worth, Madrigal's been really good defensively this year. His outs above average is in the 91st percentile. So like, he has passed not just the eye test, but statistically, he's been good at third base. And everybody, I was in the camp of like, hey, let him play there until it's brutal. Like that's what we had going into the season. But yeah, I agree. I think you send Madrigal down. You let him get every day at bats. And while I was very much in the Madrigal camp to start the season, there have been a lot of injuries around baseball this season, both, hitters and pitchers. If you can get a little bit of value for Nick Madrigal, because he still has team control, If you can get a little bit of value for Nick Madrigal, a team that needs a bat and a guy who can play second and third base, and Madrigal can turn it on at Iowa, I think that's the route you take. Because I agree. I think Mastrobuoni, like, a lot of fans are like super out on Mastrobuoni, but he hits the ball really hard, man.
Yeah.
I mean, he really mashes the ball.
Yeah, and then let's get into bullpen. Boxberger went to the IL. Do you think that's a legit IL stint, or do you think it's let's fake?
No, I like Jake didn't even let you finish. No.
You need to take some time to figure out. Work on you.
So I found some numbers, guys.
More numbers.
I got some numbers.
We got some shit talking with Wyckoff coming up.
That's right. So in 14 2/3 of innings that he's pitched this season, he's given up 13 hits, 9 earned runs. He's struck out 13. He's walked 8, and he's given up 3 long balls with a 5.52 ERA. The consistency just isn't there. His worst 2 outings, the first one was April 22nd against the Dodgers, where he gave up 2 hits, 3 runs, and a walk, and 2 of the hits were homers. And he left that game with an ERA of 40.5. And then Saturday, May 13th, he gave up 3 hits, 3 runs, and he only struck out 1, and he walked 2 guys. That's pretty sad. I think, that Mastrobuoni's just right on his heels. So I don't think he's pitched more than 1 inning every time he's been on the field. And there's been multiple times where I don't know if it was like the matchup, but hasn't made it a complete inning when he's had an outing. It's just, we need better pitching out of our bullpen, especially if our starters are going to struggle. So, Kevin, wake up. What do you think?
Oh, sorry. There's just Fulmer was doing well, and then
Fulmer gives up a dong too. So
a 2-rung dong. Yeah, I don't know. I'm kind of this off the cuff. I'm kind of done with Boxberger. I don't know. Like, I'm ready to move on. We have all these guys at AAA who've been pitching the lights out. I want to see some of them, which I like the figure it out IL stint, or the phantom IL stint, or whatever this is going to be. Maybe he does that, and then we see what we got.
Maybe he'll like it in the Carolina leagues when he's riding the bus.
Right. Yeah, I don't know. Whenever he comes in the game, I don't feel comfortable. It's like,
name one pitcher that we have right now where you feel comfortable when he's on the bump.
Alzolay.
Yeah. I think Alzolay. I think Keegan's still, like, I still think Keegan's overall been good.
Mm-hmm.
I'm so glad they brought Estrada back up, because I really want to see more Estrada.
Yep.
They've had him up, but they haven't given him a chance.
Right.
What happened to Ryan Baracki? Because I really wanted him.
Who was the other guy that called?
I tell you what.
I think did they release him?
He was DFA'd, I believe, which I don't. I think he has the option.
Yeah.
So I don't know if he went back or where he is right now. He's on the development list.
Cam Sanders.
He got picked up by the Pirates. Baracki did. That's.
Oh, now he's probably on fire.
He's going to come up. Yeah, he's going to come up and be a stud.
He's going to strike out the side in his appearance against the Cubs every time.
Yeah. Well, down in Iowa, Cam Sanders has pitched in 12 games, 15 innings. He has 27 strikeouts. He's given up 2 home runs, 5 earned runs, with a whip of 1.89. So he's been pitching decent. Anthony Kay's pitched pretty well. Do you remember Rowan Wick?
Sorry, doesn't ring a bell.
Huh?
He's pitched in 15 innings. He's given up. You want to know how many runs he's given up?
15 innings.
18 runs.
21 runs.
That was close.
See, I didn't know where to go with this because I thought you were going to surprise us like he was doing really, really well. So I was going to guess like 6.
But even a bad number, I would not have guessed that. Holy smokes.
But we're looking for relievers, right?
Right.
And there is one. His name is Cody Hoyer. And he's been absolutely filthy down in Iowa. And it's only a matter of time before we get him back. I think he's going to make a huge difference in this bullpen. And just like, I mean, it's taken a while, a lot longer than usual for the Cubs bullpen to figure it out. Because Jed puts these bullpens together every single offseason. And usually by this time, I think around now, they're picking up speed and starting to figure it out. Right now, I think they're kind of lost. But you put a Cody Hoyer in there with an Elzele, a Thompson, like
Hughes,
like that kind of, there's the 4 horsemen at the end of your rotation in the bullpen that you want every day. Like, I trust Cody Hoyer, and he will be, I guarantee you by the end, he will be I know we've said about Estrada being the closer at Iowa. Cody Hoyer is like hitting 99 consistently.
And he's given up 4 runs and 2 1/3 with a 3.0 whip and a 4.55 average against.
He's
coming back from Tommy John. It's got
the thing is,
you really talked it up. I was like, let me see these stats. And like,
but yes, his velo is up there and he's striking a ton of guys out.
Mm-hmm.
He's got 4 strikeouts and 2 1/3.
Like, his last out.
I just want to make sure want to make sure the fans know, like, Mitch is really selling this right now. I agree. Cody Hoyer is going to be good. He's going to be fine, but he's not nearly ready yet. He's going to get extended run at AAA before he's called up. I think, being the realist here, Tyler Duffy gets a shot. The 32-year-old Tyler Duffy, who looked really good in spring to start the spring. He had spring training, but he had 4 or 5 scoreless outings, I want to say, to start the spring with a nasty hook. And I think that's I'm thinking of the right guy, right? Yeah, Tyler Duffy.
I have no idea.
Estrada is pitching right now.
There's my guy. Oh my gosh. Hey, Braylon Marquez is with the Iowa Cubs. What's he doing right now?
Oh, bring him up.
He's got a 67.5 ERA.
Seriously, throw these kids into the fire. Is he down?
No. Well, he caught it, but yeah, he's down. Bellinger against the wall.
Oh, he's got a slight lamp. Rub some dirt on it and walk it off.
This is great radio.
Yeah. Sorry, folks. So there was a deep fly ball on Estrada's first pitch. Bellinger caught it against
what
the
a
fence.
catch.
Unfortunately, laid down with it. He still caught the ball, though.
Oh, my goodness. If that's not
Braylon's on the 60-day injured list. I forgot I saw one of the Cubs photographers, what's his name? Rich Biesterfield. He had pictures of Marquez throwing bullpens, I think, last week.
Yep.
So, yeah, remember Braylon Marquez? He's only 24. Yeah. He's only 24 years old.
I'm just saying. So going back to Cody Hoyer, because I'm gassing Cody Hoyer up.
You're fluffing him up.
But his velocity in his last start, or the start that he gave up the 2 runs, consistently 98, 98.6, 98.5, 98.1, 98.5. Like, just pumping gas with his fastballs. Think about that kind of being his first spring training game, and he's hitting that velocity. Like, yeah, he's going to give up some runs, and it's good that it's down there, but he has the makeup and the stuff. And when that trade happened with Kimbrel, I was almost more excited for the Cody Hoyer get than the Nick Madrigal, especially now. Like, I think
I definitely was.
I think Cody Hoyer is going to be the future closer. I think even the Cubs think that too. Now Estrada, yeah, he's lights out, but Cody Hoyer has, I think, more of a pedigree. Jake likes to talk pedigree. He has more of the bullpen pedigree, and people have talked him up for a while. He has the stuff and the makeup to be that in the future. So I think that helps our bullpen out.
Right.
Can we wrap things by talking a little bit about Wisniewski?
Yeah.
And what's going on there. I talked about it. I think I tweeted something out about it after the Saturday game. We're seeing a different Wisniewski this season than we saw definitely last season and even in the spring. Yeah. I haven't felt confident. Even he put together a run of like 2 or 3 good starts there, but I have not felt confident like at all this season with Wisniewski on the mound. I don't feel like I know where the ball is going. I don't feel like he knows where the ball is going. His fastball is not playing up in the zone. His slider is not getting chases half the like it feels like he's not locating a slider. He's throwing non-competitive pitches.
I just feel like his mechanics might be a little off, and like his release point, like they hit on it a couple games ago, and you could tell that he was like hanging on to it like a little late, and so anything down and in was wicked down and in a ball. Well, his last start, it seemed like it was a little too quick, and what was supposed to be down and in turned out to be low and away, and it was a gravy pitch depending on the hitter's swing style.
Yeah, I was looking at his heat maps for his pitches, and that basically backs up what you were saying, Jeff. I mean, his fastball, he's basically throwing his fastball right down the middle. I mean, you look at the heat map and it's like
it's on a platter
right down the middle and a little bit like down and in to righties. Like those are the 2 spots. And there's this way of thinking, and I think Lance Prostowski has talked about it a little bit, where pitchers who have like elite stuff, you just aim down the middle and let the ball move.
Yep, let it ride.
The problem is Wisniewski's fastball isn't good enough. Doesn't have enough movement to do that. His slider does, so it works there. I think his sinker is a decent pitch and has, could continue to be better if he can play it off the slider, if he can locate the slider more effectively. I think it's just fine that he is going down to AAA to hopefully figure things out. I have faith that he will figure things out. And let me tell you, boys, I cannot wait to watch the professor pitch again.
I'm ready to go back to class. I'm ready to go back to school.
Oh, my gosh. It's been a minute. Yeah, it's time for some schooling. I feel a little bit dumber.
Yeah, after showing up right at time. It's almost summer break.
Right.
Summer school.
Oh man, Mitch, I got the PR thing you're gonna put out when he comes up. Summer school, or something like that. Class is in session.
Yep.
Yeah, you're welcome.
Some of you guys failed some classes this year. Yeah, I'm excited to get Cal Hendricks back pitching. Really want his first start to be at Wrigley. I think that'd be fitting.
Right.
Like,
get the fans behind him.
Call him up for the Met series at Wrigley at night. Like, that would be great. Yeah, I'm excited for that. But yeah, let's wrap it up. I feel like we've kind of covered a lot with this episode. And I mean, at the beginning of the episode, I didn't really want to talk about the Cubs. And look here, we're 54 minutes in.
Yeah.
We can talk Cubs even though we were angry, and hopefully they make a comeback and win tonight. But yeah, thanks for listening. That does it for episode 119 of the Dingers podcast. Make sure you're following us at Dinger Cubs on Twitter and subscribing on our YouTube channel at the On Tap Sports Network YouTube channel. So thanks for listening.
All right. So
Go
to piggyback on Kevin's phallus innuendos all program, if you guys were a hot dog, what kind of hot dog would you be?
Ballpark Frank.
Is this the one didn't you ask us this one last year?
I got cut off. I got cut off that time. It didn't.
Oh, that's true.
We never answered it. I'll go first. I'm gonna go a foot long, full pound.
Oh, okay.
Chicago dog on a non-poppy seed bun. I'm thinking maybe something King's Hawaiian lightly toasted.
Wow.
Not a Chicago dog.
I said Chicago dog, but not on a poppy seed bun.
Ooh.
See, and I'm a nice grill marks on a hot dog.
Yeah.
Are you a beef Frank or
kosher?
Yeah.
Bless the mechanical separatized chicken for me, would you please?
Right. I do like the beef Frank. I'm gonna be out there with it. But I like just ketchup, mustard, maybe some spicy mustard if we're having brats with it or not.
Wow. I bet you love the missionary position too.
I'm no Master Bodie.
I'll be a Vienna beef char dog Chicago style.
There you go.
Yeah.
Nice. What's your favorite brand? Is it Ballpark?
Currently I like the Wimmers because they're quarter pound ones. They're not bad.
Red Hot Chicago is slept on.
Ooh.
Red Hot Chicago's that's I mean Vienna beef is what people know in Chicago, but Red Hot Chicago is really good too.
What about Nathan's?
Sometimes you gotta watch ones you're buying because some of them are a little too garlicky. You gotta be careful.
Jeff loves his dogs, guys. Loves his dogs. Mitch, what about you?
I like a good Ballpark Frank.
I'm really upset nobody said something bacon wrapped.
Ooh.
I'm not like a hot dog connoisseur. I just,
right?
The Chicago style is all I really know.
Well, and we make them for the kids when we're having other stuff, so it's just the basic wiener,
Yep. But sometimes a good hot dogs is it just hits the spot.
It does.
It does. When you crave one.
There was a bar in Campus Town in Ames that had hot dogs on a roller. Before we left one night, we filled up 3 bags of buns with hot dogs off the roller and walked out the door.
3 bags of buns?
3 bags of buns, put a hot dog in every bun, and walked out the door with a bottle of ketchup and mustard, and then hit the road back to Nevada. Great times.
Great nights in Iowa. There it is.
That's right.
All right.
Highlight of the night was putting dog into bun.
Thanks for listening to this episode of the Dingers Podcast. Go Cubs.